everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me.
Down the inside.
Absolutely impossible season.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakely will dive to the inside.
We're robust. We got our elbows out.
Ronard takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yana Watmere is your champion.
Hello everybody and welcome back once again. Yes, it is more Monday evening madness here for PSGL PSF1. We're back for season 42. This is round number 7, getting into the business end of the championship now, and we head across the globe from South America 7 days ago at Interlagos, Brazil. We blast across this earth to Singapore for the Marina Bay Street Circuit, the OG night race of the F1 calendar. And the championship complexion, it didn't take a dramatic swing 7 days ago, but Snacks's lead continuing to build and build and build. And we are getting to the point of no return for the majority of his championship rivals. So I hope you're looking forward to this one, everybody. Just 4 races to go left on F1 25 if you ignore the DLC, which is coming up soon. But final 4 races in ground effect cars. Let's just note that one down. In commentary corner for this evening's actually is once again myself, Tom Wilkinson, Logan Skelton alongside me. Logan, let's have a quick chat about Singapore firstly. What do you make of the circuit?
Yes, it's quite the track. I've been actually looking forward to one of my favourite street tracks, of course. Marina Bay Street Circuit, inaugurated in 2008, the first night race in Formula 1, and now we have like umpteen of them. It was a track designed by KBR, some company in America, a modification of the original proposition by Herman Tilke. And it's a fun fact, until 2024, it had one safety car in every Grand Prix until the 2024 race, which was won by Lando Norris. There have been 24 safety car deployments in the 16 races it's had. Of course, it didn't have one in 2020 and 2021, you know why. And it has been reprofiled ever so slightly over the years. Most recently, of course, was the removal of the Marina Bay float, which was demolished and will be replaced. And apparently, they are going to bring it back once work on that area has been finished. There was also the Singapore Sling, which, of course, Turn 10, absolute abomination to some people. That was removed too. The track is currently 4.927 kilometers long, 19 turns, and the lap record, of course, in the real world, 133.808 by Lewis Hamilton, which was set last year.
Interesting. That was done with disintegrating brakes as well, so fairly well done there to the 7-time world champ. Like we said going into this, though, the championship picture is interesting, one-sided, the best way to describe it. Let's take a look. It is Snacks leading the way, yet to finish outside the top 5 in any of the opening 6 rounds, and holds a massive 26-point advantage at the summit. Dirk has finished in the top 4 on 4 occasions, but failed to see the checkered flag on the other 2. And Silo has only been here 3 times, but he has won twice and finished 3rd a couple of weeks ago in Zandvoort. Outside of that, there's no real runners and riders that can feasibly really hold a candle to Snacks in this championship picture. It's going to be a 3-horse race. It's realistically just a 1-horse race. Melwin Effman and Polly Mackey have shown flashes of real performance, but haven't been able to string together consistent results. Same with Max von der Geest as well. Then you've got Lawrence Phil, who is still banned after the shenanigans of Zandvoort a couple of weeks ago. Gavroche, who won in Austria, but hasn't scored a point since, hasn't finished in the last 2 races. And then White Sheep rounding out your top 10. Snacks, I mean, he's got his palms wrapped around this championship trophy, season 42. Just needs to not make a mess of it, realistically, with 4 left.
Yes, 4 rounds to go in the season, 68 points available, 16 for the win, and of course 1 point for each of the qualifying sessions for pole position. He can't win it today, but he could definitely all but do that if he can get a full docket of points today, taking him up to 89. And if Dirk doesn't manage to score big, or even Silo, of course, Silo could go second today if he gets 4 points more than Dirk today, because of course he has 2 wins to Dirk's ones on countback. Or even Melvin and Polly Mackey could take the the second place off of them if they can get a massive haul of points and Dirk and Silo falter. However, it looks like it's the pecking order will remain Snats. He cannot lose the lead this round. He's too far ahead. And Dirk and Silo fighting for second best.
It would have to be quite the swing for Snacks to lose this in the remaining 4 races. If we had a look at the constructors, Williams currently leading the way in that regard with Jaden and, of course, Snacks. 81 points to their name, 17 clear of Red Bull, 19 clear of Mercedes. That is also going to be a 3-horse race. V-Carb a long way back in 4th, despite that victory for Dirk in Baku. And Ferrari have only scored twice so far this season, but one of them was a victory for Gavroche in Austria. Started the season really strongly, were running 4th and 5th with just a few laps remaining in Spain. Both of them, though, Nicholas and Gavroche, tumbling outside of the points. And Haas holding the wooden spoon at the moment, but they're not quite detached at the back of the pack, despite not scoring in any of the last 4 races. Max Brickett and Kevin Zunerberg, the traditional drivers for them, but we have a lot of reserves filling in this evening. One of them being the reigning champion Vola Kongen, who is making his first appearance of the season. And it will be an important appearance because you've got to get this circuit right, and it will favour drivers that are very much in the rhythm of F1 25. If you want to see a circuit that's closest to endurance racing and Le Mans racing, this is it. This is a real physical challenge at Singapore, even more in real life because of the temperatures and the humidity you get. But it's non-stop cornering. You don't get a lot of respite. The circuit has been made much better and much more raceable since we removed that tunnel section, like you mentioned, a few years ago. Limited opportunities for overtaking Logan, but if you're creative, you can get it done. Say into turn 7 of Memorial Corner or into the chicane of 16 and 17. Maybe if you get a good run out of the hairpin of 13, you can slide it down the inside of turn 14 as well.
You can. It might be a street circuit, but there are plenty of overtaking opportunities, as he has mentioned, of course. The rundown to turn 1 at the restart will be worth watching. Of course, the rundown Raffles Boulevard to turn 7 will be a great opportunity to overtake. You've also got down the bridge as well. Can't forget about the Anderson Bridge, which is down to Connaught. And then, of course, with the Marina Bay section gone, you can even take a move into the chicane before the final segment, which would be turn 16 through 17 before the pit entry of the Marina Bay Street Circuit. There's, as we said, 19 turns. And is there 4 DRS zones?
Yes, I think it is 4. The main straight, that run from turn 5 up to Memorial Corner of 7, from 13 to 14, and then from, well, turn 14, technically 15, because that's just a flat-out left-hander, into that chicane of 16 and 17. And it is a nice circuit. It is a nice circuit to drive. They've widened it a little bit more as well, so it's not quite as tight and twisty, and it just flows much better than it did, say, 5 or 10 years ago. But it is going to be a technical challenge for the drivers. You need to make sure your car is absolutely hooked up to perfection. And speaking of being hooked up, you can see where this is going, Logan, already. If you want to hook up just a little bit more, get that setup absolutely dialed in. Logan's gone, but I'm going to carry on. Make sure, linked in the description, you head over to Sim Racing Setups, everybody. The Pro F1 25 car setups created and developed by the drivers you see week in, week out here at PSGL. They've got esports and stable setups for every single circuit on the calendar available. Quality and race setups, dry or wet weather, optimal race strategies, and free meta setup updates as well, which is going to be important when the F1 26 DLC gets thrown in, because we have absolutely no idea what's going to happen to the physics of that package. All available for £49.99 with 27 circuits on the calendar, available at simracingsetup.com, and you can use the code PSGL at checkout for a delightful 5% discount. Now, we do need to have a bit of a discussion because, yes, you've just mentioned it. There is a small delay in the lobby as Logan's holding up a card of, I believe that's Charles Leclerc from 2025.
I sold it on eBay today.
Oh, I mean, was it a good deal?
I can't really see how much it was.
Oh, okay, we'll hold on to that thought then. But yes, we are loading in now, so maybe
it wasn't
5
like
or
super expensive.
It wasn't £1 billion, but we have got a slight delay as we have the lobby just getting set up now. It will be 31 laps around the Singapore Street Circuit with, of course, the 80-minute qualifying session preceding that one. And we hope that we'll have a decent number, but I think it's 15 or 16. We've had so many people back in. I think 12 drivers have said that they're not available. Nice commitment to the league, everybody.
Yeah, we have more reserves
13
now.
drivers have said that they're unavailable for this week.
Singapore, guys, what can you go wrong? I mean, look at what happened in Brazil.
Oh, God. If you missed Brazil last week, we only started with, I think it was 17, and we were down to 10 by about lap 12 because we had absolute carnage on the first lap. A lot of front wing damage. People sacked it off immediately. They didn't fancy it one bit. We had an interesting fight at the front for a little bit in the battle for third. That final spot on the podium got close right at the end as well. But it was a fairly bog-standard Brazilian Grand Prix. Didn't quite have the fireworks that we normally associate with the samba magic of Interlagos.
Yes, of course. It's quite... So we've got more people joining us. We're supposed to have 16, I believe.
Hopefully we get 16. If we don't get 16, that's going to be difficult because Singapore can be a bit of a slog at times. If you get damage early on, you're pretty much in the bin. Safety cars are possible, though, with the barriers. They do extend out. Anderson Bridge, if you're a bit lazy, you can just chip your front left, I think it is, on the wall that just juts out the side, the Armco that just juts out. And obviously there are opportunities to make mistakes in there as well, carrying too much speed through turn 5, just understeering into the wall, and then through the final couple of corners as well. As Carlos Sainz showed us in qualifying a couple of years ago, if your tyres aren't up to temperature, you can loop it round pretty sharpishly into the wall. Just before we do get in, let's have a look at the calendar as well to see where we're heading in the final quartet of races to round us off. Singapore this week, and then the triple header to round things off. Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. We go back from East Asia to Europe, and then a Middle Eastern double header to round things off. Abu Dhabi round 9, and then Saudi Arabia round 10. The finale, we are expecting the championship to be decided by then. Logan is wincing in my ears, and that is because every single time we go to Saudi Arabia, Logan, things kick off.
Turn 27. Yeah, it's turn 27. It's the horrendous corner that has seen about 500 crashes in 500 races. It just seems to always dish out chaos, especially with the tightness and run to the final corner being so long. Or I should say the home stretch from the final corner being so long can be a recipe for disaster. And as we've seen 3 years in a row, there's been big collisions at that said corner, the final corner. There's 27 corners in Jeddah. And then we're going to like Qadiyah in a few years. Oh gosh, the run up.
That's an interesting
You thought
one,
Austin
isn't
was
it?
bad.
That's literally a roller coaster. It's not even on the ground. So I'm looking forward to Cody's and EA trying to get that properly into the game, because that's going to be a big technical challenge, you would imagine. We've also said how we're hoping to see in the F1 26 DLC the Ferrari rotating upside down wing, because that's going to be very exciting. 14 in the lobby as things stand. Hopefully we get the final two to jump in fairly sharpishly, and we can head out. Looking through who we've got the big names. Snacks is there, Silo is there, Dirk is there, top 3 in the championship, Mats von der Geest, Tico, Finlay returning, along with, of course, Volokongan, your reigning champion, season 41 champion that he won in a canter in the end after the departure mid-season of Alex Lofer. Be interesting to see if Volokongan's straight on the pace.
Yeah, only 14 we got so far. Oh no, are they telling me that that's all? Please
that's what we're going with. All. That's disappointing. Lawrence, I'm fairly sure, is joining in qualifying. So that will be 1. So that'll be 15 definitely that should be joining pre-game. Who is it, though? I think it's Namsco, who is yet to jump in.
Yeah, Namsco is scheduled to race, but he's not in. He is a reserve.
I mean, the tension is building. Are we going? Some people are saying we're going. Some people are saying we're not going.
I'm readying up.
Do we
Some
have
readying
the
up,
ticks?
but I wouldn't ready up yet.
14 still the number.
Namsco.
We try to sort out what's going on. Nothing being received on Namsco's end. Earth to Namsco. Where do you be? Not getting any bites on that one. So it might just be 15, starting off with 14 as we wait for Lawrence to join slightly belatedly halfway through qualifying. Can't wait much longer. I think we are going to be going, as usual, it seems, unfortunately, in PSGL, PSF1, with a limited number of drivers. Yeah, if we look at the number of full-time drivers that declined this week, I'm just going to count this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, we had half of the full-time drivers say they were busy. I'm just going to leave that one there, and you can make your own mind up about that one.
Busy. There are 10 weeks of Mondays. I'm sure you've got some places in your schedule for this.
It's an interesting discussion, isn't it? Because I think the commitment side of it, you commit to something, you sign up for it. There's the expectation that you should be there as many times as possible, but a lot of drivers aren't. And that's the only way that we can really put it. Lauren's still not there, still at 14. We're still not going, even though a couple more drivers have readied up. Welcome in to the people that are currently joining us as we wait to try and get underway. 6 minutes delayed so far. Will probably be a couple more as we wait for the final few to load in and eventually ready up, and we can get going for round 7 of season 42. Top tier on the PlayStation side, yet we can't even get 50% attendance from the full-time drivers. Disappointing.
Well done. All my Mondays worth it. No offense to drivers that have showed up tonight. Thank you for coming.
Yes,
And
the people that are
reserves.
committed. Absolutely. And there are reserves that have come in that aren't actually technically signed up to be reserves. They weren't the first choice reserves. They've just jumped in at the last minute. Somebody like Volokong and Finlay returning, Otsazito as well. These are names from last season that were competitive and also had pretty good attendance last season as well.
Yeah, good to see Volokongan back. He was last season's champion, but moved to PC, I believe.
I'm not 100% sure. I have to be honest on that one with Volokongan. He did move to PC. Hopefully it's going well, because Volokongan was the embodiment of a well-deserving champion. Good racecraft, consistent attendance as well, which is what we absolutely like to see.
Yes, and we'd love to see him make some progress as well. Of course, this division, the PlayStation division, was the original top tier before, of course, PC came into being, of course. PC, Master Race and all on Reddit. Yeah, but this league was actually building the stepping stone for the careers of Jarno Opmeer,
Was indeed.
Wilson Hughes, and a certain Isaac Hadger, apparently.
Did. We are ready to go, though. Tico's retired in the pits. We've had a comment coming from Kenzie. Kenzie, hope you are. Can't complain about attendance when you're racing on Easter Monday. I would agree with that in principle, and I do agree with it in principle. The problem is this has been a recurring issue for 5 or 6 seasons on PSGL, PSF1. This isn't a one-off, so we're not necessarily complaining specifically about this evening that we've only got 10 full-time drivers, but we've had attendance issues for quite a while. That is where the frustration lies, that the commitment for people, especially on the top side on the console platform, is or has been wavering for far too long. But we are heading into qualifying. 14 in there as things stand. 15 will be eventually the number, as Lawrence will come in.
Livery and Jaden?
Pardon?
Is that a new livery and Jaden? I've never seen that one before.
That is the Las Vegas Williams livery.
Oh, yeah!
The co-pilot one, I believe.
I completely forgot they had that. I thought they had the Golf livery.
It's a good-looking car, I have to say, especially at the moment. Last first Tico. I mean, fair enough, Tico. There's not that many drivers in there at the moment. So I wish them well for going for that. And Kenzie, yeah, I appreciate the sentiment. Absolutely, 100%. The Easter Monday would be the same if we were doing it on Boxing Day, for example. You know, the attendance this week, there's a reason why, and I can understand why there's a reason why. But yeah, it can be frustrating when we go week after week and we have sort of 14, 15. We're having to rope in 5 or 6 reserves. But we're going to get rid of the negatives because we don't like to do that, especially for the majority of a broadcast. We are going to smash into this qualifying session with Jaden, the first out on circuit, returning after a couple of weeks away in that Williams livery that I have to say does look absolutely delightful as we barrel into turns 18 and 19 now. Hopefully the tyres are up to temperature and we are going to head around a lap with the second Williams, the second part of the Constructors' Championship leaders, braking just before the curb, missing the apex ever so slightly through turn 1, but you can carry the speed over the curb wide again, though, through turn 3, and that's just going to hurt the run. A little bit of wheel spin as he plants the throttle down coming out of turn 3. Turn 5 is a lovely corner, though. Throw it in, hope that the front end bites and the rear end sticks as you bury the throttle into the floor once again out of turn 5. Turn 6 flat as you like as we head up towards Memorial Corner. This curb on the inside, very, very treacherous. You can just see the car A little bit unstable over that curve. The bumps, the undulations just off-putting the Williams ever so slight, but cranking on the steering lock through turns 8 and through turn 9 of Pandang as we come up, Logan, to what used to be the Singapore Sling.
Yeah, it used to be the Singapore Sling, but now it's flat out through turn 10. And then the chicane before the Anderson Bridge, which has changed lane over the years, but currently it's on the left side facing the driver. And then coming out, going across the bay and down towards Connaught, towards the lovely skyscrapers, which makes Singapore so iconic. I need to go there myself. And then Marina Bay, no right turn here. You're heading straight for the Ferris wheel, as you can see in front of you. And then into the final chicane before the final corner, which is actually 2 corners according to the graph, as he actually touches the walls, Jaden. Across the curbs and across the line, a 127.182 is the benchmark.
Lucky not to invalidate through the final corner. Silo goes a couple of tenths faster. First driver into the 26s, 26.9. Finlay back in the Mercedes, back into qualifying, but slowest of the 3 times we have so far on a 27.3. Whereas our championship leader barreling up towards turn 7 now, closes the DRS as he slams the brakes, slam the anchors on, as he Tony Hawks it a little bit over the exit curve through turn number 7. We'll see what Snacks can try and put together. So consistent over qualifying, found himself in the top 3 in 5 of the 6 races so far, usually finds himself residing on the front row at worst as well. His race pace at times, he has been outthought on the strategy side of it, but consistency has been absolutely key for our championship leader, and that is why he holds a 26-point advantage at the summit. Been in the top 5 in every single race, been on the podium 4 times in 6 events as well, with a couple of wins thrown in there for good measure too. Otsazito second fastest, 26.9 as well, only 8 milliseconds down on Silo's provisional pole time. White Sheep into third, 27 flat, just ahead of Matt, who's jumping in as a reserve on a 27.1. Volokongan, reigning champion, first appearance of the season, needs to find a little bit of time there as Max von der Gies lowers the benchmark by some margin as well. Further 0.2 of a second found to do a 26.7. 2 Red Bulls first and second. What about the championship leader? Misses out by 0.02.
As you see, it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and that's pretty much been Snacks' story. He's had a couple of pole position. Actually, he's only had 1 pole position. I might be getting the drivers mixed up here, but he has managed to be one of the other 2 drivers to win twice this season. The other being Silo, who won round 4 and round 6. Snacks was round 1 and round 5. Yes, Snacks has been pole position twice in a row here. In this league, is looking for a 3rd in a row.
Very
and he's
strong.
not finished outside the top 5 at all this season. He's been in the top 5 every race. Consistency in high finishes could mean he'd become our champion. No one has come close so far.
No, 26-point lead he has at the summit, and everybody scrapping for the leftovers behind him as he just soldiers on into the lead. Extended his championship margin once more last week after finishing ahead of Dirk, who was his closest rival. But 2 wins in the last 3 for Silo maybe will just create the element of doubt for Snacks in his head as he currently splits those 2 Red Bull cars in second provisionally. Kevin Zunberg out on the circuit on an outlap, out of sync with everybody else the 12 times that we have got so far. Tico starting from the back as we are already over a third of the way through this qualifying session. Simone Mara attendance. I haven't seen Simone Mara for quite a while. Lawrence is in, so that'll be taking us up to 15, thankfully, for the second half of qualifying. No F2 driver promotions. That's an interesting one as well. And I also agree with what Kenzie says. Opening it up to crossplay. People have been very dismissive of crossplay because there are the differences in FPS, for example, between console and PC, and there are microscopic advantages that do lead themselves to having that higher frame rate and the higher refresh rate. But eventually, if we do have numbers dwindling, do we have to bite the bullet and go to that? We'll just have to wait and see, to be honest.
Probably will. 11 minutes to go in a session. No sign of Lawrence yet. He said he would be late in. However,
Oh,
he says he's
Zunberg
coming,
already
but
making a mess of turns 1 and 2, by the way. Didn't trouble the apex of 1 at all. Oh, Xbox and PC. Sorry, Kenzie. Xbox and PC would be an interesting one, actually, because the Xbox leagues, I don't think they run anymore, do they? I have never owned an Xbox in my life, but
we haven't had Xbox for years. I remember there was 1 season or 2 seasons we had Xbox, and I believe Smasher was the champion. Correct me if I'm wrong. Unfortunately, the Xbox is left to the side of WOR, I believe, and WOR, I do believe, is console, so it's crossplay Xbox and PlayStation. But we don't do any crossplay at the moment. However, this has not been thrown out of off the table. Just watch the space.
Yeah, WOR is an interesting one. We just have to wait and see what the future of league racing is looking like. I think that's the best way for us to approach this, because it is uncertain. Yeah, we have F1 esports. We don't know what the future of the F1 game looks like as well, because we aren't getting a brand new game until 2027. Yes, we've got the DLC, but we don't know how different that's going to feel, whether it will be a completely different handling model or whether it will be a reskinning of these F1 25 cars to what we have in F1 26, how realistic the battery usage will turn to for that F1 26 DLC as well. It's going to be a fascinating couple of months, and this, of course, will be the last, I'm fairly certain, unless there is a delay, the last time we run with these ground effects cars in Season 42. Silo down by 200ths to the first sector split. It's actually a 10th quicker than Snack's personal best, so it's the middle sector where Silo needs to find a little bit of time. Last week's race winner, of course, beating Snacks in a straight-out duel, getting one over on the championship lead. We'll see if they can try and find the time in this middle sector. You'd expect this is a used tyre run as well, chopping off the inside of turn 10, trying to give yourself the best run onto the Anderson Bridge through 11, 12 and 13, almost grazing the barrier. That's where you can chip off the front right if you're just a little bit too aggressive. A lot of curb on the inside of 13 and some wheel spin for good measure as well.
Comes down Connaught now, so if he doesn't understeer it into the wall, he doesn't, but a bit of a slide out of Connaught. This is a yellow flag, mostly ignore because it's usually a slow-moving car heading to winding up on their outlap. Here we come. The final corner awaits. Is Silo going to go to the top? He's not. He is 11 thousandths down, but a 100th ahead of Snatsk, who is currently in third and on his outlap about to start his one.
Otsazita, by the way, into the 26s as well. 26.9 for the Papaya and Chrome McLaren. Snacks has just started their second attempt. Here's the reigning champion halfway around the lap as well. Looked a little bit lazy there, that Alpine through turn 10. Maybe just leaking a little bit of time. Qualifying last season wasn't necessarily the strong suit of Volokong. It was the race performances, the consistency, the strategy game as well, and the racecraft was what won Volokong and that season 41 championship. Up by half a second though in the middle sector. Hello, reigning champion. Welcome back, Volokong, and this could be some lap time to challenge the established runners in season 42. You can see the Sauber getting out of the way of White Sheep, using the interesting strategy, let's say, of simply letting go of the steering wheel to warm up the front tyres. That was messy though from Volokong and into 16 and 17. Didn't trouble the apex at all. Going to lose a bit of time. The back steps out as well through 18. And yeah, lost 6/10 in the final sector. Still a 27.2 as Jaden goes over the line. No, he doesn't. Jaden returns to the pits as well. So mistakes out there for a couple of drivers. The championship leader though, up by 1/10.5 through sector 1.
These circuits demand perfection. Otsazito is coming through, and he is faster, but he's still in fourth. 1:26.812. White Sheep coming down Raffles Boulevard. He's behind Otsazito in the standings. Snatsk is coming into the pits. He's not too pleased at all, and even goes over the curb into the pits. There's no rule against doing that. It's, I believe if you're cutting the corner or you're going in before the cut-off, that would be a penalty. But this is the qualifying session. I don't think they take much notice to that. It's the race that matters, because that's where the majority of the points are scored. Van de Geest goes to further ahead, more than a 10th now. It's a Red Bull 1-2. I wonder what that reminds you of. He's in the number 3. His name is Max.
Hold that thought. Lowering the benchmark by a further 10th, Max von der Geest, as Seiler remains second and Snacks didn't find an improvement, was up by a tenth and a half, I think was slightly deep, similar to what Volokongan suffered through turn 16 and 17, so bailed out on that run. White Sheep currently 5th, just improved to a 26.9, found a tenth of a second. Max Bricker 7th, then comes Dirk, who's second in the championship. Lawrence clouts the barrier though. The little bit that just sticks out, that tyre wall coming through turn number 9. No damage for the Alpine, maybe a little bit of a skill issue and a bit of a hit to the ego as, I think he does just tap the barrier again, this time through 11 and 12. So a bit of a messy start here for Lawrence on what is their first attempt after joining halfway through the session. We'll see what the split time is. Yeah, 103.4. That is significantly down where you need to be. So Lawrence will just have to bank this one. Well, he won't because he's exceeded track limits coming out of 14. So throw that firmly in the bin. And traditionally one of the stronger qualifiers, usually resides inside the top 5, is going to be under the cosh going on to what you can only imagine will be their final attempt at the back end of the session.
So drivers coming back in for the last time before their final run. This is where it all may count, especially if you are Snats and Silo trying to get another pole position to your CP for this season. 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Insert joke here. So we'll be waiting a couple minutes because I'm sure with it taking 2 minutes to get around the lap, it'll be a minute to set up and then we'll be underway for this final run. Only Lawrence, who joined late, is not set a time here. So here we go then. The countdown begins.
It does indeed. Less than 4 minutes to go. I wonder if Max von der Geest is about to come out on the circuit. Maybe. Feel a bit early to come out now, but could give yourself the safety net of just having a little bit more fuel on board if you do indeed make a mistake. We have seen drivers making mistakes, especially on that second attempt. Mitigating factors, of course, with the likelihood that that would have been the used tyre run. Don't want to use all of your soft compound tyres in qualifying because you want the advantage of having a set of soft compound tyres in your back pocket in case of a late race safety car. And maybe you want to use the soft tyres, even though traditionally on F125, not a particularly strong or consistent race tyre. I believe that is going to be one of the Haas cars making their way out. Now the mad rush will continue. Who is it going to be? Is that Max Bricker just filing down the pit lane? One of the Red Bulls and one of the Alpines coming out as well. And we are getting prepped with 3 to go for the final qualifying assault on pole position. Championship leader in 3rd. Dirk second in the championship, down in 7th. There's a Red Bull 1-2 as things stand. Max von der Geest to return to form. Provisional pole sits by just over a 10.
Yeah, so here we go. 3 drivers, I should say 4. It's going to go up ever so slightly as I speak. Making their way out for their last run. I'm sure at this rate they will all get to line in time. It'll take a minute for it to complete a lap. I think we'll be all good. Give a few seconds of lag time to prepare everything in the cockpit. Bits and bobs. So many buttons on that machine. Back in the day, you'd have none of that.
It was a lot more simple, albeit a lot harder, you would have to say, and a lot more dangerous with no power steering and all of the like there, and the, let's say, less evolved safety of Formula 1 and motor racing. Dirk still in the pits. We need to get his shimmy on about 20 seconds of margin if Dirk is going to get back out on circuit. First driver out there is Kevin Zunberg in 13th. Then comes the reigning champion, Volokongan, was half a second up after the first couple of sectors on their second attempt. Made a mess of the final chicane. So it'll be interesting to see where Volokongan could filter in if the reigning champ does hook up this final lap.
We'll see about that. Everyone is out on the track, and actually, Tico is already in the pits. That's the dot. It's there. That's Tico, who's decided to do a last first. It might not be last if Lawrence doesn't set a lap, but we'll see about that. Here we go. It's going to be Kevin Zunberg on the lap first at the bottom of the pile, excluding the 2 drivers that haven't set a lap. Coming out on the first corner doesn't invalidate on turn 2, where a lot have already. That'd be a waste of time preparing all that laps. For doing that, coming through to Raffles Boulevard now. DRS open as he heads towards the kink and into the next corner. Easy to go wide here if you're not careful, but he's nailed that. Time is Running out though, I think the checker flag's about to come out. Is not Silo. Dirk gonna make it? He might.
Should do. 28 seconds left. It's going to be touch and go. Zunderberg hits the barrier there through 11 and 12. Was about 3/10 down on where he needed to be through sector 1. And that's a lot of time to try and make up in the second half of this lap. Better in the middle sector, but still nowhere near where he really needs to be challenging. Got to be in the 26s, you would say, if you're going to get a competitive grid position.
Yeah, I'd say so as well. Dirk has crossed the line as the time is about to run out. Everyone on their final lap. Lawrence is still invalid, so he will be still in the running. Kevin Zunderberg is up to 7th. Good time from him. But here we go. I think it's going to be the 2 Red Bulls coming up. Is Silo going to take pole position? Yes, he is. 126.583. What about the White Bull of Van der Geest? Is he going to come fighting? Yes, he is. 126.557. Snats is coming through. He's improving, but is he improving enough to try and counter the Red Bull 1-2? Here he comes. Across the line. No, he's 126.643. He'll be behind the Red Bulls as it stands. Otsuzito and White Sheep coming through. The driver 6 through 10th on the screen. Lawrence has went up to 10th. So Tico will start at the back. Is Otsuzito going to try and get into the top 3? Yes, he is, but he's only 2 thousandths behind Silo. It looks like it is going to be a Red Bull 1-2. White Sheep improves, but doesn't improve in terms of position. And unless Dirk and Matt can find a time, Matt goes up to 6th. And Dirk is still on this lap. And if he can't improve, Van der Geest is on pole.
Oh, Matt Howell. Yeah.
Oh, well, he's not going to get it now.
Hits the wall very hard. Was only up by a 10th anyway, so Dirk, I don't think it would have been a 26. As it is, Dirk will stay to the back.
No, it's 9th.
9th fastest for Dirk in the end. Didn't lose too much with the damage, but yeah, wasn't ideal, it has to be said. But the championship leader out of position there, off the front row for the first time in 3 races. It's a Red Bull 1-2. Harks back to 2023, perhaps. Max van der Geest ahead of Silo, who's still chasing Snacks in the championship. Otsuzito returning with a very competitive 3rd place. 28 milliseconds covering the top 3. Snacks less than a 10th off the pole time. White Sheep, Matt with a good performance. Reigning champion Volokonga, maybe a bit rusty there, some time to find. Jaden, Dirk and Max Bricker, your top 10. Finlay just outside. Zunderberg, Lawrence, Leahy and Tico going for the last to first. The 15 runners and riders from that qualifying session. Interesting goings on there. Snacks, I mean, will probably be disappointed to be down in P4, but was still less than a 10th off the pole time. So no alarm bells that need to be rung just yet, you would say.
No, not at all. And this is Max van der Geest's first pole position of the season. So the drivers that have set a pole position this season are Lawrence, Dirk ×2, Gavrok, Snacks ×2, the last 2 races, and Max van der Geest.
So still no pole position for Silo. Missed out on that one by 200ths of a second, just a little bit over, and was very marginally ahead of Otsuzito as well. So an interesting one there for Silo, who of course has won 2 of the last 3 races, is the form driver in there. So no pole position for Silo. Clearly better race driver than qualifier, although obviously not a bad qualifier getting onto the front row. Volokong, we've got some support. Oscar, I hope that's Oscar that's the season 40 champion. That is obviously the stablemate and the former teammate of Volokongan in that season 40 title assault. Volokongan going from P7, let's not forget. First appearance of the season for the reigning champ.
But is it Oscar Piastri?
I highly doubt it. I mean, if it is
We wish.
Oscar, I don't know what you're doing. It's his birthday, I'm fairly sure, today. So I don't know why you'd be
Happy
watching
birthday, Oscar.
this
Love you.
on your birthday. Good podium, though, in Japan. Should have won that race. But
Oh, yeah, but the safety car couldn't compromise it, and Antonelli just ran away, as Antonelli does now. Favourite for the title, perhaps?
George Russell, yeah.
A bit more consistent than Russell, in my opinion.
It's an odd one. I've seen comparisons to 2007 with Alonso and Hamilton, and I can kind of understand, although Alonso obviously had much more pedigree than Russell has now, and Antonelli did have more experience than Hamilton had then. Matt's in the chat. Go, go, go. Excellent lap from yourself. I think it's P8, P7 or P8. Good work from yourself, Matt. Hopefully you have a good one in the race. As we do wait for those final setup tweaks. Of course, Parc Ferme is confirmed on. sorting out the strategy, sorting out the fuel loads as well. P6 for Matt. I'm terribly sorry that I've done you a disservice there, and I've underappreciated your achievements, my friend.
Yes, indeed. And shout out to Artemis 2, who have went further than any human in history in space. They've passed the moon.
Interesting. We won't see them shooting past tonight, but it will be a question of who will dazzle brightest in the night sky of Singapore. It would be interesting if that was a feature, wasn't it? But we have the 5 red lights appearing. Short run down to turn 1, but it is a big pinch point. 2 Red Bulls on the front row. Championship leader from 4th. We are racing for 31 laps of the Singapore Grand Prix. Max von der Geest moves over to cover his teammate. Silo off the grid well, though. With von der Geest hanging it around the outside. Otsazito and Snacks embroiled in a brutal duel for 3rd and 4th just behind as the 2 Charging Bulls look to rampage off into the distance. The championship leader does dispose of the Papaya McLaren up to P3. Good start there for Snacks. Same for the former champion. Volokong reigning champ to P6. There's a Sauber going off. Damage being thrown up. I think potentially Max Bricker in the walls towards the back.
Yes,
both Haas cars with trouble.
Yes, there was a collision involving Leggy and Max Bricker. Max Bricker was sent into the wall by Leggy, and he has lost a part of his rear wing. And Lawrence is now just overtaken him for 13th place. At the front, though, it is the top 2 being the Red Bulls. It seems to be reasonably spaced out, as you would see on a street circuit. So we'll see if that evolves any further. Lap number 1 of 31. That's quite a long distance for a 1.5 minute lap. We could be here a long while, maybe an hour if there's a safety car, as it has been the case in the real world when it was 2 hours was exceeded and they didn't actually finish the full race distance.
Proper endurance race, the Singapore Grand Prix. Matt all over the back of the reigning champion Volokongen in the battle for 6th and 7th. Max von der Geest still leading the charge. Half a second the gap between himself and his teammate. Equidistant back to Snacks with Otsazito just trying to cling onto the coattails of the leading trio. Then it is White Cheek rounding out your top 5, and then comes Volokongen with Matt just falling a little bit further back, slightly wide through the final corner. But Jaden getting out of the turbulent air, already looking to keep the car cool, keep those engine temperatures down, which will give you that straight line speed advantage as this race progresses.
Lap 2 begins. DRS is enabled, and it will be enabled down Raffles Boulevard. Remember, tonight there are 4 DRS zones. A quadratic equation in itself. Actually, that has nothing to do with the number 4, but it has quad in it, but I guess that works. Leggy has damage as well, I forgot to mention. He must have been in that for Max Bricker, and he is fighting with Lawrence and Kevin Zunneberg for 13th position. No points for bottom 5, remember, it is only the top 10. 16 for 1st, 12 for 2nd, 10 for 3rd, 8 for 4th, 6 for 5th, and then 5 to 1 for 6 through 10, respectively. A sliding scale. And of course, you know how it works. Most points at the end of the season wins the title.
Crucial break in the DRS train straight away. Otsazito, over a second he was, off the back of Snacks, really struggling to keep tabs on the 2 Red Bulls and the championship leader, who look to try and stretch their legs out front and converging on each other in this final DRS zone of the lap. Finlay had a look to the inside of Dirk into turn 7. Couldn't quite slide the Mercedes alongside to get a foothold in that scrap. Nice battle forming still over 6th, 7th and 8th with Volokong and Matt and Jaden. Otsazito sets the fastest lap of the race, but definitely lost time on the previous tour to the 2 Red Bulls and Snacks. Still just hovering around a second to 9/10 outside or just inside the DRS range of the championship leader. So watch this space, but Silo close to the back of Max von der Geest through turn 5. Could this be the 2 Charging Bulls trading blows out front? DRS lap open for Silo. Winner last week, winner 3 weeks ago as well, to the inside of turn 7. That is a fairly elementary pass, although sliding slightly wide. Max von der Geest with a cutback, maybe an opportunity, but doesn't fancy it to the outside of turn number 8 of Stamford, and will just hover behind his teammate. So the 2 Bulls change places. Silo now your race leader. Snacks right on the rear of Max von der Geest as well now.
Yep, so we have the first change of lead tonight. Silo takes the lead on his quest to try and win a 3rd Grand Prix and try and make something of a potential title race. No matter how big the gap is, he will keep on fighting as long as he has races left. You try to become the first driver 3 times this season. Van der Geest trying to get his first on the board. He's had 2 second places this season, but he's only been the bridesmaid, never the bride. And even if he's started in pole position, he's got to remember it's not how you start, it's how you finished. The 2 Red Bulls got to be careful if they're fighting each other. Or Snats, he could be the third wheel in this if there's something going up in the air between these two. Lap number 4 begins, and Max van der Geest is starting to drift away, and Snats is going to try and reel him in like a big fish. Sorry, Tom, I had to bring the darts reference in there. Further down, it seems to be pretty quiet.
It does. I think people just getting into the rhythm. You can see the 5 drivers on the hard compound tyres. They've got them up to temperature. The gap between Snacks and Otsazito stabilised. Are we going to see roles reversed from the previous lap? Max van der Geest a little bit further back compared to Silo was on lap 3 and does opt to sit behind his teammate. Dirk on the move though. Jaden's already disposed of Matt. Now through goes the Racing Bulls. Second in the championship. Down in 8th at the moment after a disappointing qualifying. And needs to try and work away at the gap that's formed between themselves and the Williams in front. And Matt with a little bit of front wing damage there, so maybe had a chat with the barriers around there. He's going to have to deal with the wrath of Finlay, who's right up on his haunches as well into turn 10. Not a characteristic or a traditionally overtaking position, I should say, but with the limited front downforce, that is going to feel like an absolute boat through this middle sector.
It is, and we've got DRS. And
Lawrence is gone.
out.
And that is the safety car. Lauren's in the wall over the Anderson Bridge. Contact with Tico, who's picked up a penalty for that. Is the Sauber missing their entire front wing? Can't quite see from that really helpful angle. But for the first time this season, yes, there is significant damage there. The safety car has been deployed, everybody, or at least the first time that I can remember. Did it come out in Austria, which was the one that I wasn't here for?
It came out in Spain. I know that at least.
Did it? I can't. Oh, yes, it did come out in Spain because we had that early collision. So for the second time this season, the safety car will make an appearance, and that could maybe force drivers to think about the strategy car. And it will definitely, because Otsazito's staying out. Obviously, the 2 Red Bulls are in there. That should be a freebie for Snacks because Max van der Geest is going to have to queue behind his teammate.
Oh, this is not good for Van der Geest. He's going to have to play the waiting game. A waiting game you don't want to play. He's going to join behind a few cars, I'd imagine. The other cars are pitting, so we'll have to wait until they go out. He's going to come out.
Behind Volakongan, definitely.
Yeah, behind Volakongan, behind Snats, crucially. Of course, Silo is leading this train. He was leading when the pit stops occurred. So now Otsazito is your new race leader. He's on hard, so he probably had no choice. And Tico is going to get a change of wing. And serving the penalty as well won't make much difference. He is already at the back, and medium tyres on, so I think he may have to pit again.
Absolutely. Can't go to the end on a set of medium tyres. It'll be interesting to see if these guys can stretch the hard tyres 25 laps, you would imagine. 24 laps by the time the safety car will come into the pits. For the drivers that started on hards, really had no option, with the exception of Lawrence, who's obviously out of the race, and Tika, who had that significant front wing damage. So they will continue on only 4 laps, technically 3 racing laps, 3.5 racing laps on their hard compound tyres. Then it will be the net race leaders, Silo, Snacks, Volakongan reigning champion. This has worked out this safety car period. Got himself up to a net 3rd position with Max van der Geest. The pole sitter, now only 4th in class, ahead of Dirk, Finlay, Jaden, Matt, Leggy, Max Bricker and Tico all through the pits. Repairing that damage, Tico, and serving the penalty.
So this will take a while because we've got all the cars getting lassoed around, rallied up, ready to go again. And I think Silo's going to have a bit of fun with Kevin Zunneberg, White Sheep and Otsazito when he gets going again, because he'll be on the fresher rubber and he's definitely got the pace. But it'll be interesting to see how Volakongan gets on. Going to be in the mix of the 3 prime drivers of Snats, Silo and Van der Geest. We have 4 SCI drivers here. 5, sorry. We've got Dirk and Finlay. He is stuck in a massive SCI bottleneck. It's definitely not a sandwich. It's too big to be a sandwich. A foot long.
Yes, nice. A foot long SCI sandwich. Silo, Snacks, Volakongan, Dirk and Finlay. All of them on the grid at the moment. Otsazito staying out, started from 3rd, had a tricky start on those hard compound tyres, just trying to fire them up compared to the mediums, dropped behind the championship leader Snacks, but this safety car has given him the track position, and we'll see what the best strategy will be. These guys are kind of left a little bit stuck with their strategy. Safety car, if it had come out maybe 10 laps later, that could have been an interesting one to see what they could have tried. As it is, though, going to have to try and stick to their guns.
Yeah, and then imagine, speaking of the safety car, it will be coming in this lap. All the cars have been brought in, neutralised. We should be getting ready to go next lap. You don't see that in the real world. Usually it takes like 9 or 10 laps, and honestly I think it needs to be sorted out, but there's nothing we can do about that. This is the video game we're playing on, and look, the safety car, I think it's starting to pull away. Yep, it's pulling away, the lights are off. We will be going again this lap.
Lights off?
Yep.
I didn't realise it did that in the game.
That's always done.
Has it? Maybe I'm just not very attentive. Well done. F125. But it is Otsazito back in the pack up. Those hard compound tyres, the scrubbed ones, will take less time to warm up than the brand new rubber that Silo down to Tico have strapped on their cars. Still 24 laps to go at the end of this one. 25 laps to go, in fact, at the end of this one. And Otsazito making his return. Multiple race winner in season 41, but just a reserve so far. Qualified well. Can he try and make this strategy work as he waits to plant the loud pedal into the penultimate corner we run, and to start lap number 7, Otsazito leading, White Jeep leaving Kevin Zunberg, and then comes Silo. But look at this, bad run out of the final corner. Championship leader already under the cosh by the last season's champion of Volokongan, just trying to press the Williams maybe into a blunder and a mistake into turn 1, pushing him as well through the apex of turn 3. Snacks very much under the microscope here for the man he's looking to take this championship title away from. Otsazito still out front, Silo 4 tenths off the back of Kevin Zunberg, will be the first to feel the wrath of the drivers on the brand new tyres. Snacks has managed to cool the assault from Volokongan behind. He might have to think about Max von der Geest. Remember the pole sitter, as that's Finlay going defensive into turn 7 with Jaden all over the back of him and all over the place as well. Dives to the inside of 8. Will they make it through without contact? Little bit of rubbing. Front left tyre to rear right tyre, but for the time being at least, Finlay has the Williams still in his back pocket.
He does indeed, and Snats a scary moment out of the final corner, but he has managed to recover and keep Volokongan at bay, and he's chasing down Silo for 4th place, or pretty much effectively the lead, because Otsazito, White Sheep and Kevin Zunberg have not picked yet, and they will have to pick. You can't go 31 laps in this, you will be disqualified on the final lap. Tico is already up to 13th place. He has passed Max Brooker at the bottom. Back to lead battle now. Snats starting to close up. No DRS until the next lap, remember, when you restart in the safety car. The DRS is turned off for the first lap. After that, turned on for the second lap. So here we go, round the final corner. DRS will now be turned on, and Raffles Boulevard will be the first opportunity for some overtakes under the DRS. Or you can try and do it naturally if you're feeling bold and brave. But we haven't seen that yet tonight, it seems. Here we go.
It is Tico we need to keep an eye on. We'll be on the move on those medium tyres. Fire up faster, quicker as well for 5 or 6 laps over the hards. Will we be throwing it to the inside of 5? Not yet. Chucked it down the inside of Max Bricker on the previous lap into turn 13. Leggy clouts the barrier though, exit at turn 5. That is a freebie if I've ever seen one handed out to Tico there. Buffet driving, help yourself, as that's another one displaced there for the Sauber trying to charge through the pack. Snacks is actually closer to Silo than Silo is to Kevin Zunberg in front. Interesting goings on there, maybe. Silo, the net race leader, let's not forget, just trying to look after these hard compound tyres. We still don't know whether they're going to try and extend this to the end of the race. We know the hard tyres are very durable on the F125 game. Can they do 25 laps though in a 50% race? Time will tell. Can they try and baby them, treat them like gold dust for the next 20 plus laps? Otsazito still comfortable out in front. White Sheep equidistant back to Kevin Zunberg as well. Then it is Silo, Snacks, Volokongan, Max von der Geest and Dirk.
Now Snats and Silo are starting to close up on Kevin Zunberg with the help of DRS now being enabled. And not much happening between the top 3 as it stands, but that's sure to change with Silo on the prowl. With Snats right behind. 3 tenths is the gap right now. Further back though, seems to be all quiet at shore, at sea. It'll be a matter of time though when the Kevin Zunberg will be under attack from the championship leaders.
Is it wise to sit this close for Snacks to the back of Silo? Grazing the barrier on the run out of turn number 5. Silo now closing up, hot-footing it after Kevin Zunberg in front, but not close enough to send it to the inside of turn number 7. It's a heavy braking zone, but it is a short braking zone as well. Into Memorial corner of turn 7, the 90-degree, almost 90-degree left-hander. Throw it in. You can carry a lot of speed there. Just got to be careful of the curves. On the inside can throw you wide. The outside curve as well, you can get stuck on it. Bottom out, Tony Hawk it off into the pickets on the outside. As Silo now looks to apply the blowtorch to Kevin Zunberg. The top 3 yet to stop in this race. Starting on the hard tyres, still running those hard tyres. And we're almost pushing the Haas into the apex of 13. This feels like a matter of if, not when for Silo, as these hard tyres have now fired up.
Yeah, it is, definitely. I was about to say it's starting to get close. Oh, Kevin Zunberg had a bad cornering at Connaught, and now Silo is going to try and get past here before the next turn. Turn 16, he goes to the inside, and they're bashing each other to the corner, but it looks like that Silo is going to get ahead despite the contact, and now Snats is going to try and get through, hopefully a little bit more clean than Silo did, and he easily moves on into 4th position. Couldn't be any cleaner from Snats. Very nice from him, and now Wolakongan will be chasing him down, and that is another mistake from Kevin Zunberg. Easiest overtake of Wolakongan's night so far.
Absolutely lit up the rear tyres, didn't he? Mats van der Geest arriving on the scene next to try and add some pain to Kevin Zunberg, who does throw the defensive shape, hovering in the middle of the road. Couldn't quite find a way through, as that is Wolakongan going slightly wide, actually, through turn number 7 for Zunberg, of course. Clearly not got the grip to try and challenge. And Mats van der Geest really trying to work one over on this Haas driver. Pole sitter, let's not forget Mats van der Geest, despite finding himself 7th on the road at the moment, there's not really the chance to make a move into this technical middle sector through 10, 11, 12. Do you throw it to the inside of 13? Got to be careful, because we know Dirt could be punching. He's just cruised up to the back of the white ball as well. Look at the speed and the time he can gain into the braking zone. Surely you've got to try this down into turn 14. His race is unravelling here if he continues to just sit behind the Haas. Got to try and be punchy, but still not close enough.
Van der Geest, obviously in 7th, well behind his teammate Silo, because they were top 2 at the start, but then the safety car came out and they were forced to double stack. Risk that Max Van der Geest took, and now he's down in 7th place and trying to get past Kevin Zunberg, but he's struggling to get past whatsoever. It's getting closer at the top 3 though. They were within the same gap at that point, 0.484, but of course that's not going to last forever. Altazito and White Sheep, remember of course, they started on the hard tyres and are yet to pit for new tyres. They must pit. I cannot stress this enough. They must pit or they'll get the DQ. Is White Sheep going to try and take the lead from Altazito? No, he's too far back. I don't think anyone's close enough.
Yeah, Mats van der Geest still too far back, so still stuck behind the Haas of Kevin Zunberg, as Silo, Snacks and Wolakongan are getting very close to putting that Haas outside of the 1 second window and leaving Mats van der Geest with even more alarm bells ringing in the pole sitter's head. Poor run though for the Haas going through turn number 9. Brings van der Geest back up to the rear, up onto the haunches once more of the Haas car, but still at the wrong part of the circuit. Not an opportunity, not a heavy braking zone where he can throw it to the inside, try and make something out of nothing. Mats van der Geest taps the back of the Haas going through turn 13, saying, come on, get on with it. I've got a race to try and keep up with and try and keep tabs on the leaders in front. Moving over to the inside, doesn't fancy it to the inside. Again, there's contact through turn 14. Dirt's going to be thinking, well, if you're going to be too patient here, I'm going to throw it down the inside of Mats van der Geest and pile even more misery onto the lap of the pole sitter. Good run out of 14 for van der Geest, both with the DRS though, and still, same old story, cannot find a way through.
Kevin Zunberg is just being a pain in the neck to Van der Geest today, and Max getting very frustrated here, really wanting to get past Zunberg, but he just can't find a place to do it. 4 DRS zones and he can't find anywhere. Is he lacking pace in some areas in comparison to Kevin Zunberg perhaps? Kevin is showing a lot of endurance and perseverance on these 11 lap old tyres, I have to say.
Here we go.
So are the top 2, but of course these tyres are built to last, not built for grip. But I mean, they're going to have some grip. But he's finally lost the position. Kevin Zunberg has lost the position to Max van der Geest. He's finally got through. And now he's 8 tenths behind Volakongan, who's on the same rubber.
I think Vondergeest a little bit fortunate. Volakonga made a mistake in the final sector of the previous lap. Just hold that thought. Here comes Dirk using the battery look to the inside of turn 10. Singapore Sling backing out of that one. Very difficult to fit 2 cars side by side through 10, 11 and 12. Do we throw it to the inside of 13? No. The answer is yes. Ducks out to the inside. Little bit of contact there. Side pod to side pod, tyre to tyre. Dirk muscles his way through though. And that is 7th place handed over to the second Racing Bulls driver. Max Vondergeest is still 6 tenths further up the road. Kevin Zunberg pushed down another spot.
Yeah, great move from Dirk. I think contact was imminent there. I don't think Zunberg saw that coming. He was trying to defend his line. But they got through pretty much clean, and as a result, now Dirk into the top 7. Zunberg now down to 8th. He was 3rd, but now down to 8th. It could be 9th now. Finley ganging up on him. And could he try and make a move out of Raffles? Well, watch this space. As yeah, he's got way much more grip, has Finley, than Kevin into the corners now. These tyres starting to run out of gas, but then again, 4 laps isn't really a big difference. So to be fair, I'm not surprised they've held their own. But Finley's got a lot more race pace, a lot more race craft, a lot more experience, you'd say, than Zunberg. And this could be the easiest move of the night for Finley, and it is. Or is it? Oh, what is that from Kevin? I was not expecting a switchback from Kevin Zunberg, but he is through, is Finley, and this might send a warning for Jaden to be pretty cautious when you're fighting Kevin Zunberg. He's going to try and make a move here on the inside. Oh dear! Kevin Zunberg gets a penalty and crashes into the wall at the same time, loses his wing. I don't know what's going on with Kevin Zunberg. He's getting very frustrated, and eventually he realizes it's not worth fighting, and he's let a few of the drivers through.
Deja vu for Matt, got front wing damage again. Tico, we're almost 3 wide into 14. Leggy tries it around the outside of the wounded Aston Martin, almost hits the tyre wall that extends out himself. DRS 1, 2, 3, they flash by on the run through 15, which is flat as you like. Matt all over the show. Tico trying to find the space to the inside to slide through the pair of them. Leggy off into the distance, although big snap of oversteer coming out of 17. It's going to be Tico into the pits there to get rid of his hard compound tyres, and Zunberg obviously jumping into the box as well. Interesting, they locked tyres obviously going through turn 10. In my eyes, I thought Jane was within his rights to be down the inside, had a run. It looked like Kevin Zunberg just turned in on the Williams, and that's what dragged himself eventually into the barrier.
It did, and that was, to be fair, Kevin was playing some dangerous games on those past few laps, so I'm not surprised it was going to end like that, in all honesty. He's due to pit, he has pit, and he's going on the mediums, and I suspect we're going to have a 2-stop here.
Definitely for Tico, because he obviously pitted under the safety car, should get those hard compound tyres to the end of the race from here. Otsazito and White Sheep still out there, yet to stop in this race. Then you've got Silo, Snacks, Volakongan, Pole Sitter, Max Vondergeest, and then Dirk, second in the championship, closest rival to the championship leader Snacks at the moment, although if it finishes as it is, it'll be Silo up to second in the standings, and he will become the closest challenger to Snacks, who will maintain a fairly dominant lead right at the summit of the season 41 standings. Otsazito still doing a good job though out in front. Silo hasn't shown any real intent to make any moves to get ahead of either the Sauber of White Sheep or Otsazito, and Snacks also very happy just to sit and watch and wait and play the spectators game in position number 4. Volakongan's been hovering around 7 tenths off the back of the 2 in front as well, and that says to me that the reigning champion thinking about lap 31. How much can he look after these hard compound tyres? Can they extend them to the end of this race? You would think there will have to be some tyre management to get there. If there's one person I have confidence that can pull it off, it is going to be that man Volakongan.
Volakongan, of course, last year's champion. He's going to show why he is, but he's not close enough to Snacks at the moment. But the drivers in front are definitely, the gap at the top 3 is really closing down, but no moves are being made. They just haven't found any room to do it. Otsazito and White Sheep yet to pit, so you'd expect they'd pit soon. They could be on a 1-stop here if they can get those mediums to the end of the race. We'll wait and see about that. Silo just itching to get through. He's got 4-lap younger tyres, you expect you have much more grip coming out of this corner. This could be the chance he can make to get through and to finally gain a position. He's been stuck pretty much in this position for a long while now, and he's preferring that he has some clean air in front instead of the two drivers who have yet to pit, because look who's on the back of him. Snatsk is closing down as well. Got a four-way battle here. Ignore the yellow flag, there isn't one.
Yes, that's been out for a while. Max Bricker through on Matt, who's hobbled by the front wing damage. Max Bricker with a wobble, though, coming out of turn 17, but Matt Beidajur jumps into the pits, probably to fix that front wing damage that the Aston Martin has been holding since the tete-a-tete that went on between themselves. Kevin Zunenberg and Jaden, who's still soldiering on in 9th place. Otsazito, White Sheep, Silo Snacks, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, all pretty much equidistant, with Volokongan just hanging back at this stage, keeping himself within the 1 second window, trying to give himself a leg up on his opponents and his rivals going into the latter stages of this Singapore Grand Prix as we pass the fulcrum point, the halfway point of this 31-lap race. Leading duo still yet to stop. The group behind, can they make it to the end without stopping again? That is the question that we'll be thinking about, the conundrum that will continue to rumble on until we reach said lap 31.
We're halfway to that 31 lap number. At the moment, it's not looking like Otsazito or White Sheep because they have yet to pit. It is Silo and Snats currently trying to get past both of them. And maybe while that's happening, there could be a wrangling between Silo and Snats. It's getting very close to each other out of Connacht, which is a DRS straight, and Silo has some speed. Closing up once again to White Sheep, but there will not be any room into the next corner. There just isn't. Could be stuck here for quite a while, and this isn't helping. This is going to let drivers like Volkong and Van de Geest and Dirk build up some time as well. Heck, even Max Bricker down 11th could be part of this train if it continues. Is the truly train returning? I don't know.
We are still with that DRS train from 1st down to 10th. Max Bricker just falling outside of 1 second, but could get themselves back into it. Tico 21 seconds off the back of them, came through the pits a couple of laps ago. Interested to see what Tico can manage with much fresher hard compound tyres. How much faster will that second Kicks Alba be compared to the train of cars from 1st down into 10th? You can see Mats van der Geest in the background getting out of the slipstream, the turbulent wake, trying to cool the car as much as possible. They've been running in a DRS train for pretty much the entirety of this race. That will cause those engine temperatures to spike. So if you can get some clean air, some fresh, cooler air into the car, that will make a noticeable difference. And Otsazito with that advantage out front. It's a hot track as well. Humid temperature also that is going to play a factor. As we are on lap 17 of this Singapore Grand Prix. Your championship leader Snack still running in position number 4. Doesn't have to make another stop in this race. The question will be whether he will, though, and can go 25 laps on a set of hard compound tyres. The same goes for Silo in front and everybody behind that pitted under the safety car. Otsazito and White Sheep, they'll be thinking about coming in fairly shortly, although the stent, I should say, would have been extended courtesy of that safety car, so maybe thinking about going a couple of laps longer than they were planning beforehand. 18, 19, 20, probably the magic numbers.
Yeah, we'll be watching very imminently on our screens, see if any move is made during those laps as we do begin lap 18. Otsazito still in the lead. Snacks and Silo still locked right behind the top two, waiting their turn, waiting to pounce at an opportune time, which seems like it's never going to come, because every time they get on the DRS it doesn't seem like they're getting anywhere near the inverse of DRS. Maybe we do need that overtake mode imminently, which has been much faster. I think Kevin Zunenberg has retired from the race. Getting nowhere, unfortunately. No points for him tonight. Let's see a couple of the reserve drivers scoring. Leggy in 10th right now. And of course, Volkomben in 5th at the moment. It doesn't feel like he's a reserve driver. Of course, he was last year's champion.
Same with Otsazito, twice a race winner in season 41.
Oh, yes.
First appearance, I believe it is, for Otsazito this season. Silo close to the back of White Sheep, who was just grappling for grip a little bit coming out of turn 13, but burning A little bit of ERS is the salvo to just keep the Red Bull at arm's length into the braking zone of turn 14 of Connaught. Now through 15, flat out over the bumps. You can see the car bottoming out through the undulations. Lock up for Otsazito into 16 and 17. Just about slam the anchors on. Are we boxing this up? We are with the McLaren. A little bit of a dummy from White Sheep, who does file into the stop as well. Was there some contact there? Did White Sheep just slap the back of the McLaren? They are line astern into the pit lane. And now the charge is on out front. Silo from Snacks and Volakongen. Max von der Geest, Dirk, Finlay, Jaden, Legging, Max Bricker have to try and check out now, because they are going to be the hunted if indeed they're going to the end.
Yep. And now the top 6 is 5 SEI drivers and Max, who is in 4th place at the moment. But now we truly have drivers in the lead as Otsazito and White Sheep come out just behind each other. And they'll be down in 11th, I believe. Yep, 11th and 12th. Matt still down, of course, because he's already pit. And he undercut, but doesn't seem to have worked. Otsazito and White Sheep now have to make their way up the order. They are 4.5 seconds down on Tico, who pitted a few laps ago. Don't think these drivers are going to get to the end either. Are you thinking? I mean, 27 laps is asking for too much, I feel.
It is a long old way. 26. I can't remember the exact number. I think it is 26 laps, maybe more than that, to be fair. On this set of the hard compound tyres, 27. So we've seen Volakongen definitely as somebody that has been looking after the tyres, was happy just to sit at sort of 9/10 off the back of the car in front, which for the majority of this stint has been Snacks. Will that just start to come to the fruition now? They can still control the pace out in front. Tico, who pitted 5 laps ago, is about 1 second to 1.5 seconds a lap faster. He's going to have to deal with a very quick Otsazito and White Sheep, who have got 20 plus seconds to try and crawl back in the remaining 12 laps of this race. Fascinating dynamic that's going to unfold in the remainder, the final third, the final stanza of this Singapore Grand Prix.
Let's see what gets on here. 12 laps to go, and Silo has a 6/10 lead. Can Snacks use DRS, which Silo does not have, to get any close? And my word, hurtled down towards him, but the gap remains 4/10 at the moment. Volakongen will try and join in as well. I think Silo, when the dirty air through the corners, is going to have the advantage here, as they usually do. It is starting to become a much more close racing affair. Drivers within 1 second of each other, all the way down to 9th.
Max Bricker's done a good job, actually, because that gap was 1.3 seconds at one stage, so got himself back into this DRS train of this leading group of 9 cars. Volakongen again just hovering back from Silo, from Snacks, and Max von der Geest isn't really putting the reigning champion under any kind of pressure, which is allowing Volakongen to just baby those hard compound tyres a little bit more. Max von der Geest may be doing the same, and they've seen the light. They can perhaps get these tyres to the end. They will know the percentages, they'll know the average wear per lap, they'll know the targets that they have to try and hit. We, of course, don't know that, which is why the unpredictability of having no data and no numbers makes it all the more exciting as we start lap 21 now, with the race leader Silo, winner last week in Brazil, trying to go back-to-back, and it'll be back-to-back second places for Snacks as well, continuing to rack up the points to add to his championship kitty, with the reigning champion just behind in third. Tico now less than 13 seconds off the back of Max Bricker, but White Sheep with the fastest lap of the race, a 1:30.6. That is about 3 seconds faster than the leaders are doing.
And Otsazito has gained about 1 second and change this lap. Should be closing up to Tico anytime soon. They're closing up Tico as well on the top 9. I think Otsazito will get there before Tico does at this rate. So I'll watch it for White Sheep behind. Matt, 4.5 seconds down. Got a bit of catching up to do if he wants to score some points. Never too late though. We all saw what happened last week. The top 10 were the only finishers in the points. Only finishers overall. So obviously no one else scored points because they had all failed to finish. Silo still leading with 10 laps to go, coming to the line next time.
So Leggy maybe is the driver under pressure. Scratch that, is Max Bricker, I should say, with a 3-second penalty And you would expect that will be a free spot for Otsazito and for White Sheep, who have cruised up to the back of Tico in the Sauber and is not going to fight that one bit. Otsazito flies through. The red carpet rolled out for his teammate as well. 10th and 11th now for the McLaren and the Sauber as they continue their march on towards the lead group. Will they catch them by the end of the race? Will the hard compound tyres make it to the end of the race? With these drivers that are still out there on the hard tyres, pitted under the safety car which came out on lap 4, you've made your bet at this point. You're going to have to lie in it and deal with the consequences when they arise. The problem for Otsazito and White Sheep is, yes, they'll have a significant pace and tyre advantage. They've got a hell of a lot of cars, so they're going to have to try and work their way through once they get there. And they're not going to have that many laps to work their way through.
Yeah, they're not 10 to go. So time is running out for them. But yeah, for the drivers in the top 9, I don't think pitting's definitely worth it out. The leader to 10th is 16.4 seconds, which will pretty much give Otsazito a clear path to take victory, and that means it will be illogical to pit at all if you're in the top 9. Putting yourself out of position and out of contention. But it's still an orderly fashion. I think they're saving their energy for the end of the race. A lot of harvesting being done, I have to say, in terms of battery. Thought it was bad in the real world. Well, you're very wrong. But yeah, smart move from Tico to let White Sheep through. He knows he hasn't got pace to make it work, so White Sheep's going to be taking the lead here. But that doesn't rule Tico out. He can still get some points should there be any drivers falling behind. He is 2 seconds behind White Sheep now, though, as White Sheep hunts down the Apaya McLaren of Otsazito. And he's going to have DRS here once again. Watch back that later, but still, it's looking a bit quiet at the top 9.
And it could be helpful for that chasing group, or the chasing pair, I should say, if Leggy does officially fall out of the DRS of Jay. Now, I don't think the McLaren's going to get the rear wing flap open, so that could be a couple of easier overtakes if this pair of Leggy and Max Bricker just fall away from what will now be the leading group of 7 cars. Otsazito still about 2 seconds a lap faster than this top 9 on the previous lap. White Sheep doing the same times, just tucked up underneath the rear wing of the McLaren, getting dragged along like a horse and cart, like a chariot, as they try and romp up to the one-stoppers. 18 laps so far on their hard compound tyres. It is a race of management. They have to try and baby these. We've seen Volokongan doing it to a good extent. You'd expect for the reigning champion, with the pace and the lines and the care that he's been approaching the loud pedal with. He probably has the best, if not one of the best tyres out of the group in the lead, which will give him an advantage in the latter stages. And Snacks also just dropping off a little bit from Silo as well.
Yeah, and this is good for Silo. Silo, of course, will only gain 4 points in the championship at this rate. Actually, no. Yes, 4 points. Vance Van de Geest got pole position, so obviously that's wrapped up. Max Van de Geest now on 30 points for the season. Silo would cut the gap down from him from 30 to 26, and he would jump Dirk in the... No, actually won't jump Dirk. Dirk would be on 52, but he definitely would cut the gap between... Oh, hold on. No, sorry, I stand corrected. He will overtake Dirk. I'm doing my math wrong. I apologise. He would overtake Dirk, and he would cut his gap to Snacks at this rate to 26 points. Snacks would be on 88. Silo would be on 58. Sorry, Snacks would be on 84. Silo would be on 58. There, got it right.
Still a big advantage, though, to carry into the last 3 races. And it does become a question of if, or when rather than if, I should say, Snacks is confirmed as champion. Otsazito 3 seconds faster on the previous lap than Leggy and than Max Bricker, who have officially become detached. They've disembarked from the DRS train from 1st down to 7th. So they'll be the first drivers at the mercy of the charging Otsazito and White Sheep. Still think that they're going to run out of laps to get their way up to the lead pack and work their way through, pick them off one by one by one by one. And it should be the contest you would expect between the leading group of 4. I don't think we've seen from Dirk enough pace to challenge Van de Geest and Volokongan. And if Volokongan's got better tyres than the leading duo, that could be an interesting dynamic which unfolds in the final couple of laps as well. One by one.
I cannot solve that Rubik's Cube. Oh, have we got Leggy into the pits? Yes, he's coming into the pits. This is quite interesting. It's going to be... Is that hards?
Intermediate tyres? No, hard tyres. I thought they were green for a moment.
Intermediate?
I thought he was doing a funny and strapping on the intermediate tyres. Otzazito 4 seconds quicker than Max Bricker on the previous lap. They're absolutely flying up to the back of the stranded Haas, who's in no man's land at the moment, but he's going to be joined by the enemy fairly shortly, with that McLaren and Sauber rollicking along in 9th and 10th now, and they've got one less car to overtake, courtesy of Leggy jumping into the pits. That's going to make their life a little bit easier.
And White Sheep right on the back of Otzazito at the moment. Finlay is starting to fall behind. He has no DRS. He is outside the 1 second window. And this could give a chance for Jaden and Max... Well, not Max Bricker. It's going to give a chance for Jaden to close up here as we go down the bridge towards Connacht. Is it a bridge?
We've just gone over the Anderson Bridge, haven't we?
Yeah, but there's another body of water you cross down this road as well.
Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, look at Otzazito though. Inside the 1 second window of Max Bricker, and I think it will definitely benefit Otzazito and White Sheep if the DRS train gets split up and they can try and attack them in smaller packs rather than having to work through the enormous DRS train. Look at the grip advantage that the McLaren has got through 16 and 17. This should be like child's play. Max Bricker is going to be defenceless, not even using the ERS out of the final corner. Through goes the McLaren, through goes the Sauber as well, and that's another one checked off the list. 8th and 9th. 4.5 seconds just under to Jaden and Finlay, who has done a very good job of getting back within the 1 second window of the lead quintet. Very well done, Finlay. Makes life harder, of course, for Otzazito and Whitey. We could just see there in the back of shot through turn number 5. Snaxo trying to put one over on Silo for the first time. Had a look to the outside of turn 7. First time, really, that we've seen Snax pull any kind of punches to try and lay his cards on the table.
That's trying to become it's a battle of the thirds here. Both drivers have won twice this season, looking for their third, as Max Verstappen gets another penalty. Volakongan watching on eminently. He's hoping to try and capitalise on any mistakes that are made by either driver, or both would be even better for him. He can get a win from out of the blue. Van de Geest there, the rogue driver in this 6-way battle. We've got 5 SCIs and of course a VNT driver, as Leggy has got a penalty, so that's an extra kick in the teeth for him. That's a mistake from Van de Geest, I think. And look at Dirk. Dirk is going to try overtake the other Red Bull team car. He's on the outside, but he's not got any momentum. However, Max Van de Geest did seem to feel put off by it, and Dirk is going to try again here, trying to amplify all of the pressure onto him. But it doesn't look like it's going to work. He's going to have to stay in 5th place for now, and he's lost a bit of momentum too. Van de Geest starting to close in on Volakongan again.
Van de Geest was incredibly brave under braking into 16 there. Threw it back down the inside. Was lucky to slam the anchors on and keep it on the track and keep Dirk crucially in his back pocket. Snack's not close to Silo as he was on the previous tour. Nearly 7 tenths, over 7 tenths just as they came out of turn number 5. Equidistant back to Volakongan. Van de Geest, Dirk, Finlay still hovering inside the 1 second window, getting dragged along, which means that the attack from Otzazito and White Sheep is coming later and later and later. But they should be inside the DRS train, the lead DRS train, come the end of lap 27. So they'll have 4 laps to try and make up 7 places, 8 if you White Sheep, to get past the McLaren as well. That's a tall order.
Yeah, the time's running out, but as Max Verstappen gets another penalty. I assume that's for, yes, the corners. But yes, the question is, can these tyres hold on? Look how close it is for third. Volakongan, Van de Geest and Dirk. Points needed here from Dirk as well, considering that Snats and Silo in front, and he doesn't want to lose that 2nd place in the championship at the moment. But yeah, are these tyres going to last? I think they will, but it's going to be borderline, I think.
Finlay again under pressure. Didn't get the DRS 1.1 off the back of Dirk. Otzazito and White should be hoping that the Mercedes finally disembarks definitively from the DRS train. Does the Silver Arrow get the DRS? Done a good job through the final couple of corners. Yes, the flap opens once more. Lap 28 now. 4 remaining. First down to 9th. All on the same straight. Otzazito and White Sheep on newer medium compound tyres, although they are past their best, but they will be significantly better than the 23 lap old tyres that the group in front are running?
Oh, definitely. Otsuzito starting to close in on Jaden. Going to try and take P7 here. This could be a big haul of points for Otsuzito coming in on reserve duty, as Jaden himself is starting to close up to Finley and trying to take 6th place for himself. So who's it going to be? It's going to be a 50-50 shot. Is it going to be Finley or is it going to be Jaden? We'll have to find out in the next few laps. He might get them both before that happens. But at the front, it's still relatively quiet, but it is starting to build up some speed. Of course, they're going to unleash all of the energy they've harvested over this race on each other to try and win this race. With 4 laps to go here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore, the Southeast Asian titan that is. Of course, fun fact, was actually expelled from Malaysia. A bit of political history there for you.
Otsuzito, by the way, sorry to cut in there. Had a look to the inside of Jaden into 14. Now swings it through 15. This is the first one checked off the list in this lead group. Inside of turn 16, Jaden defenseless. Has to back out of that one. Clinical. Needs to be clinical with Finlay now officially out of the 1 second window. That should be an easy move for Otsuzito into turn 1. As behind them, Jaden getting pushed through the final couple of corners by White Sheep in the Sauber. The McLaren moves past his Mercedes engine counterpart. White Sheep up the inside of Jaden also needs to try and hot foot it after the McLaren. Cannot let Otsuzito disappear into the distance with 3 remaining.
And now he has to get past Finley, does White Sheep, and he needs to get past now. Otherwise, he'll be stuck in a world of hurt and he probably won't be able to catch Otsuzito in the McLaren. The top 3 are starting to close in on each other as well. Finley doesn't seem to be in any danger from White Sheep. White Sheep looks like he was going to try the inside there, but unable to get through. Now they're going to be approaching the Singapore sling. That is a mistake from Finley, and White Sheep's going to be all over the back of him heading into the sling. Is he going to try and move here? No, he's not. And in fact, he has pushed Finley. Finley really starting to hold up and frustrate White Sheep in the Sauber. He's going to make the move, and there's a collision out of the Anderson Bridge. He's finally got through, but you feel compromised there. He's not even in DRS range of his full Otsuzito.
Great move though, had to be done. Threw it to the inside of turn 13. It was now or never for White Sheep, and it's going to be now or never for Otsuzito as well, as Tico disposes of Max Bricker. That's elementary, but Max Bricker with a lot of penalties as well is going to fall out of the points paying positions anyway. We round the penultimate corner and the final corner to start the penultimate lap of the Singapore Grand Prix. Otsuzito, 14 lap fresh and medium compound tyres. Can he make 5 overtakes in the last couple of laps? Feels a little bit like the 2023 Singapore Grand Prix. Slightly different circumstances, of course, but Otsuzito charging. White Sheep as well, trying to pull through. Otsuzito, you've got to feel by the end of this lap, has to be in 3rd to have any opportunity of regaining the lead that he held after the safety car clamps the barrier through turn 5. It's going to be really difficult for him to try and work his way through this tightly congested DRS train. No battery either to work with. Late under brakes into turn 7. Has to throw it to the inside of 8 realistically. Dangles the nose, but Dirk sees it coming. Brakes late and can just hold on to that one.
He teased him into the corner. Otsuzito is not going to go down without a fight. Dirk doing his best to defend the position, stay in the racing line. That's all he really has to do. But he's also thinking of, can I get past Van der Kies? Can I try and get a podium position? Snaz is starting to close in on Silo. This could be an explosive end to what has been pretty much a confusing and interesting Singapore Grand Prix. Volakongan in the podium spot on reserve duty, and he's starting to close in the stat. This is going to be a bizarre ending, and Otsuzito's loving every second of this.
I think Otsuzito, though, still with way too much work to do. If he can get into the top 5 on this last lap, that'll be job well done. Max van der Kies just falling away from the leading trio. Volakongan, we think, has better tyres. Can the reigning champion on his first appearance of the season put them to good use? Good run out of the final corner, looking to usurp the man that's trying to take the crown away from him as we start the last lap. Silo, does he have it under control? Half a second the gap between himself and Snacks, who's now looking behind rather than forward. Massive whack of oversteer for the championship leader. Volakongan go up to hover behind for now. And he's going to get the DRS, and Snacks hasn't got a big slipstream in front, but Volakongan just pushed away ever so slightly by the dirty air. Should he have gone for it into turn 5 when the opportunity presented itself? Well, he's not going to get a run into 7.
And this was good news for Silo. Yeah, he's not clear DRS, but he didn't have any threats going out for them. That's Otsuzito and Dirk, and there's been a collision. What's happened here?
Otsuzito threw it to the inside of turn 8. There was contact between the pair of them. Otsuzito allowing the Racing Bulls back through. And that's probably the end of that charge to try and finish on the podium. Now having to deal with White Sheep as well. Just a couple of DRS straights left for Silo to deal with to go back to back. Make it 3 wins in the last 4. But the Charging Bull trying to take chunks out of Snack's championship lead. Who's having chunks taken out of his rear tyre by the reigning champion. Good run through the hairpin for Volokongan. Not close enough. Doesn't fancy it to the inside of turn 14. Can he put some manners though on the Williams as we blast out of 14 through 15 and up towards 16. Silo looks to have things covered. Reigning champion versus champion-elect. Volokongan goes left and right. Can't find the space yet. Still doesn't have the overlap in front of them though. Silo gonna go back to back. Volokongan surely not into the penultimate corner. No, he doesn't. Silo rounds the final corner to take it. Snacks ahead of Volokongan by a tenth of a second. Then Max von der Geest and Dirk. Otsuzito couldn't get through on the last lap. Ends up in P6 ahead of White Sheep, who you think has run out of fuel, and I think he has run out of fuel.
0-0. And Otsuzito's crashing the wall horribly, but he still gets 6th place. Yeah, he ran out of fuel at the line. He was diving to the inside to try and hold on to 7th, and he has. That's why the gap was 2 seconds. But Silo holds on despite all of the tension in the air. It didn't seem like there was any moves at all. They kept each other at bay, and Silo is going to take his 3rd win of the season and his 3rd win in only 4 starts.
Superb drive once again. Pace, controlled it nicely, had some tyres left when we got to the end of the race, and takes, like you said, 3rd win in 4. But the championship leader still 2nd, and that is more than enough. Awards, if you're interested. White Sheep with the fastest lap and the most overtakes. Cleanest driver goes to Otsuzito, with Tico taking the drive of the day. But there is the rundown. Silo from Snacks, as it was a week ago in Brazil. But the reigning champion on their first appearance of the season, showing that Volokongan is still very much a factor when he appears. 3rd from 7th on the grid. Pole sitter Max von der Geest, hurt by the safety car, elected to queue behind Silo. Ends up 4th ahead of Dirk. Otsuzito charging late on the alternate strategy with White Sheep. Finlay, Jaden and Tico, your point scorers. Leggy just fell out with a 2nd stop late on. Matt picked up damage a couple of times. Unfortunate one for the Aston Martin. Max Bricker 13th and Kevin Zunerberg, along with Lawrence, failing to see the checkered flag. It felt like a bit of a slow burner, but we had an exciting finish. Good crescendo ride at the end. Didn't quite know what was going to happen. Was it going to be Snacks moving forward? Was it going to be Volokongan attacking Snacks? Where could Otsuzito get to? But in the end, Silo very much the form horse still.
Yeah, it was quite a crazy end to the race. Even though there wasn't any moves, they were so in line with each other in one giant pack of a DRS train. It was a surprise that there were not any moves that were made at the end. Well, there was Otsuzito, but that did not materialize correctly, and it meant that he had to stick for 6th place. Still a interesting strategy, and it worked out pretty well. He's got a decent haul of points on his reserve duty, so not a bad night's work for him. But it is Silo that gets another win, but the gap at the top remains 26 points, but it's different drivers. It's role reversal. It's now Dirk and Silo. Sorry, it's now Silo ahead of Dirk, but now the gap with being 26 points. Snat's gone 84 and Silo on 58. That's the scores at the top 2 right now. Of course, Volokongan is got on no points, so he's taking himself up to 10, and that should take him into the top 15 of the championship. Yes, top 15.
Well done. First appearance for the reigning champ. Very good job. Same with Otsuzito jumping in as a reserve. Multiple race winner last season and showing that pedigree still very much there. Good drives from White Sheep. Finlay and Jane picking up some solid points as well. Max von der Geest with a race of what might have been perhaps, but that is us done for this evening. Before we go, first and foremost, in the description, if you want to try and unlock extra performance on F125 and sim racing setups, they're pro car setups. Created and developed by the drivers you see week in, week out here at PSGL. They have absolutely got you covered with everything you could possibly need, whether it's esports or just simply stable setups for every single circuit. Quali pace, wet weather pace you're struggling with, optimal race strategies too. They've got everything you could ever wish to have. All available for £49.99 at simracingsetup.com, which is linked in the description of this stream. Code PSGL at checkout will give you a delightful 5% discount as well. And before we go, let's just take a quick gander at the calendar to see where we're heading for our final triple header. Spa-Francorchamps, the legendary Spa-Francorchamps, in 7 days' time. And then the Middle Eastern double header to finish things off. Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi. And then Saudi Arabia, the Jeddah Corniche Circuit, to complete season 41 and complete the ground effect era here in PSGL. But Logan, thank you for jumping alongside. As always, very good fun. Great Singapore Grand Prix as well. Some good tension right at the death. Where can people find you on an internet if they want to see what you're up to?
I am Otaku Logan on YouTube. I'm currently doing a Simpsons hit and run playthrough where I am trying to complete the game 100%, but I can only go on to the next level if I complete the current level 100%. So, of course, it's Grand Theft Auto, but kid-friendly, of course. Great game in the day.
Make sure you check that out. If you're interested in what I'm doing, wilco.coms on Instagram and TikTok. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. A pleasure to bring you this series on a Monday night every single week. And we'll be back for the brilliant Belgian Grand Prix in 7 days' time, where for the first time, Snacks could, barring some major maladies for some of his rivals, could be crowned champion. But he's taken another big step towards it with a very, very solid haul of points. Another podium, 5 in 7 races. And it looks like our Season 42 champion is all but crowned. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy PC in a few days' time. And we will be back next Monday, same time as always. From myself and Logan, thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.